The summer sun beamed down on Maplewood Grove, a quiet neighborhood nestled in the heart of Ohio. 12-year-old Emma Carter stood proudly in front of her lemonade stand. Her shoulders straight and her head held high. She had spent the entire morning perfecting her display. A banner reading Emma's legendary lemonade 75 cents a cup fluttered gently in the breeze. Its bright yellow letters adorned with cheerful lemon slices and sparkles that she had painstakingly added by hand. The table beneath it was neatly draped with a gingham cloth, and on it rested a large glass pitcher filled with lemonade that glowed golden in the sunlight. Emma's house, a modest two-story with blue shutters and a front yard bursting with daisies, sat just behind her. The smell of fresh-cut grass lingered in the air, and the soft rustle of leaves from the big maple tree in her yard provided the only sound besides the occasional car passing by. This lemonade stand wasn't just a summer activity, it was Emma's mission. She needed to raise $80 to join her class on a much-anticipated trip to the Cleveland Science Museum. It was her dream trip, one she couldn't bear to miss. Her mom, Sophia, had helped her prepare that morning. They had squeezed dozens of lemons, measured out just the right amount of sugar, and experimented with Emma's secret ingredient, a tiny hint of mint. Now, it was showtime. The first customer of the day was Mrs. Henderson, the elderly woman who lived 2 houses down. Dressed in her signature wide-brimmed sun hat, she shuffled over with her little dachshund, Max, in tow. "Morning, Emma," she said with a warm smile, fishing for change in her purse. "Let's see if your lemonade is as legendary as you claim." Emma poured a cup with care, the ice cubes clinking softly as they tumbled into the paper cup. Mrs. Henderson took a sip and let out a delighted sigh. "Well, this is the best lemonade I've had in years. You've got yourself a repeat customer, young lady." As the morning wore on, Emma's tip jar began to fill with a mix of coins and crumpled bills. A few kids from the neighborhood stopped by on their bikes, their laughter echoing as they sipped their drinks. Emma's confidence grew with every sale. She even started waving at passing cars, hoping to lure more customers. By noon, Emma had made $22 a solid start, but still far from her goal. Her mom brought her a hat to shield her from the sun and a sandwich to keep her energy up. "You are doing great, sweetheart," Sophia said. "Keep it up. You'll get there." Emma was about to take a quick break when a rumbling noise made her pause. It started faint, almost like a distant hum, but it grew louder with each passing second. She squinted down the street and spotted a line of motorcycles rounding the corner. The chrome of their bikes gleamed under the sunlight, and their engines roared like thunder. There were at least 10 of them, all clad in black leather jackets with intricate patches stitched across their backs. The laughter of the neighborhood kids faded, and even Mrs. Henderson peered cautiously through her curtains. Emma's heart raced as the bikers slowed and pulled up right in front of her stand, their bikes forming an intimidating line along the curb. The leader, a burly man with a salt and pepper beard and aviator sunglasses, swung his leg off his bike and approached her. Emma froze, gripping the edge of her table tightly. She glanced back at her mom, who was watching from the porch with a mixture of curiosity and concern. "Well, what have we got here?" the man said, his voice deep and gravelly. He removed his sunglasses, revealing surprisingly kind eyes. "Lemonade stand, huh?" Emma nodded, her voice caught in her throat. "Why, yes, sir. It's 75 cents a cup." The man chuckled, pulling out a crumpled $5 bill. "Make it 4 cups, he said, placing the money on the table. Emma's hands shook slightly as she poured the lemonade, trying her best to keep her composure. The man took a sip and let out an appreciative, "Eh. This is good stuff," he said, nodding to the other bikers. All right, who's thirsty? The rest of the bikers approached, their heavy boots thudding against the pavement. One by one, they handed Emma bills and coins, ordering multiple cups. The air, which had been tense just moments ago, began to lighten as the bikers joked with each other and complimented Emma on her lemonade. "You make this yourself?" asked a tall woman with a fiery red braid and a patch on her jacket that read, "Raven." Emma nodded. "Yes, ma'am. My mom helped me, but it's my recipe. Kids got talent," Raven said, dropping a $10 bill into the tip jar. As the afternoon went on, the bikers' initial intimidating presence transformed into something almost festive. They shared stories, laughed loudly, and even started helping Emma attract more customers by waving at passing cars. "Come get the best lemonade in town," one of them hollered, drawing curious neighbors out of their homes. Emma's tip jar was overflowing by the time the leader, whose name she learned was Hank, leaned against the table and asked, "So, what's all this for, kid?" Emma hesitated, then answered, "I'm saving up for a school trip to the Science Museum." The group exchanged glances, and then Raven said, "Well, we can't let you fall short. Can we?" She pulled off her helmet and began passing it around. The bikers dropped in bills and coins. And when the helmet returned to Emma, her eyes widened. There had to be over $200 inside. I don't know what to say," Emma stammered, her voice trembling. "Say thank you and keep working hard," Hank said with a grin. Hard work deserves support. As the bikers prepared to leave, one of them, a man with a tattoo of an eagle on his arm, lingered. He crouched down to Emma's level, his expression softer than the others. "You remind me of my daughter," he said quietly. "She was about your age when she used to run stands like this. Lost her a few years back. But seeing you out here, it's like seeing a piece of her again." Emma's chest tightened. I'm sorry for your loss," she said softly. The man nodded, his gaze distant. "Thank you, kid. You keep doing what you're doing. You've got a good heart." When the bikers finally rode off, leaving a trail of noise and laughter behind, Emma stood in stunned silence. Her mom walked over and wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "You did good today, Emma. Real good." Emma looked at the overflowing tip jar and the helmet of cash, her heart swelling with gratitude. This was turning out to be a day she would never forget. The next morning, Emma woke up to the sound of chatter outside her window. She rubbed her eyes and peeked out to see an unusual sight for Maplewood Grove, a line of cars parked along the curb and a small crowd gathered in front of her house. The lemonade stand she had left neatly folded on the porch was already surrounded by curious neighbors and passers-by. Word had spread, and it seemed everyone in town wanted a taste of what they now called biker-approved lemonade. "Emma, breakfast is ready," her mom called from downstairs. Emma quickly dressed, her excitement bubbling over as she rushed to the kitchen. Her mom was already packing fresh lemons and ice into a cooler. "You might want to open up shop early today," Sophia said with a wink. Emma didn't need to be told twice. She darted outside, set up her stand, and was immediately greeted by familiar faces from the neighborhood. Mr. Jenkins from the hardware store handed her a $20 bill. "I heard about yesterday," he said. "It's good to see a young lady with ambition. Keep it up." The morning flew by as Emma poured cup after cup of lemonade. Kids from the basketball court joined in, waving handmade signs at the street corners to attract more customers. "Lemonade for a cause," one of them shouted. Emma laughed as she realized her simple stand had become a full-blown community event. By noon, the line stretched halfway down the block. Emma's best friend, Lily, arrived to help. carrying a bag of fresh mint leaves. I can't believe this, Lily said, tying her hair back as she joined Emma behind the stand. You're like a celebrity now. The excitement continued until mid-afternoon when a familiar roar of engines echoed down the street. Emma looked up just as the bikers rolled in. Their arrival met with cheers from the crowd. Hank, the leader, hopped off his bike and gave Emma a broad grin. Told you we'd spread the word, he said, handing her a small box. Got something for you. Emma opened the box to find custom-made stickers that read, Emma's legendary lemonade, officially biker approved. She laughed and immediately stuck one on the front of her picture. These are awesome. Thank you so much. As the bikers mingled with the crowd, one of them, a tall man with a dragon tattoo, pulled Emma aside. You've got something special here, he said. We see a lot of roadside stands on our rides. But you've got heart. Keep going. And who knows what you can accomplish. The compliment warmed Emma's heart. But what happened next left her speechless. Carlos, the owner of the local grocery store, stepped forward and addressed the crowd. Folks, we've seen something incredible here these past 2 days. This young lady's determination and the way she's brought us all together, it's inspiring. I think we should take this to the next level. He paused, letting his words sink in before continuing. What if we made this a monthly event? A day where the whole town comes together to support local kids and their dreams. We could call it Lemonade Day. The crowd erupted in applause. And Emma felt tears prick the corners of her eyes. She looked at her mom, who nodded encouragingly. That sounds amazing, Emma said, her voice shaky but determined. I'd love to help make it happen. The rest of the afternoon was a whirlwind of activity. The bikers stayed to help organize the first official Lemonade Day, offering to recruit other riders from nearby towns to spread the word. Parents volunteered to bake cookies and snacks to sell alongside the lemonade. Even the mayor stopped by, pledging her support for the initiative. As the sun began to set, Emma found herself sitting on the porch steps, watching the last of the crowd disperse. She held the helmet filled with cash in her lap, now overflowing with donations from the day. Lily sat beside her, munching on a cookie. You know, Lily said, you've basically become the unofficial mayor of Maplewood Grove. Emma laughed. It's not about me. This is about everyone coming together. It's bigger than just a lemonade stand now. Just then, Doug, the biker with the eagle tattoo, approached. He carried 2 paper cups of lemonade and handed one to Emma. Mind if I sit? He asked. Of course not, Emma replied, scooting over to make room. Doug settled beside her, his gaze fixed on the horizon. You know, he began, this reminds me of something my daughter used to say. She'd always tell me that even the smallest ideas can make the biggest ripples. She wanted to open a bakery someday, but life had other plans. Emma stayed quiet, sensing the weight of his words. I think, Doug continued, she'd be proud to see what you've done here. And maybe, in some small way, helping you today, it feels like I'm helping her dream live on. Emma looked down at her cup, then back at Doug. Thank you, she said softly, for everything. Doug smiled and raised his cup in a toast. To ripples. Kid, keep making them. As the stars began to dot the sky, Emma felt a sense of fulfillment she had never known before. The day had been about more than just lemonade or raising money for her trip. It had become a symbol of what people could achieve when they came together. Her mom called from the door, breaking her thoughts. Emma, time to come in. Emma turned to Doug. Will I see you at the first Lemonade Day? You can count on it. Doug replied, standing and giving her a playful salute. Keep shining, kid. As Doug walked away, Emma stood, clutching the helmet close to her chest. She knew this was only the beginning. Maplewood Grove had become a brighter, kinder place, and she couldn't wait to see what they could accomplish together. A month later, Maplewood Grove buzzed with anticipation as the first official Lemonade Day dawned. The neighborhood had transformed overnight, with stands popping up on almost every street corner, bright banners, colorful balloons, and hand-painted signs announced the event. Each stand was unique, with kids proudly showcasing their own recipes, decorations, and themes. The atmosphere felt like a summer carnival, with families strolling through the streets, music playing in the background, and the smell of fresh lemonade wafting in the air. Emma's stand was at the heart of it all, set up in its usual spot in front of her house. This time, it wasn't just a simple table but a full setup. Thanks to contributions from neighbors and friends, a small canopy shaded the stand, and a chalkboard menu listed her offerings: classic lemonade, pink lemonade, and a new addition, mint lemonade, which had quickly become her signature. Her best friend Lily was by her side, wearing a matching apron that read Team Lemonade. "This is wild," Lily said as they prepared for the day. "I didn't think it could get bigger than last time. But look at this." Emma glanced down the street and saw lines forming at nearly every stand. Kids waved at passersby, shouted out their prices, and offered samples. The excitement was contagious. "It's amazing," Emma said, smiling, "and it's just the beginning." The first customers arrived early, some returning from the previous month and others drawn in by the buzz around town. Among them was Mrs. Henderson, who beamed as she handed over a crisp $5 bill. "I've been looking forward to this all month," she said, taking a sip of her lemonade. "You've started something truly special, Emma." By mid-morning, Emma's stand was bustling. Her mom, Sophia, brought out trays of freshly baked cookies to sell alongside the lemonade. And kids from the neighborhood pitched in to help manage the growing crowd. Hank and the bikers arrived shortly after, their presence announced by the familiar roar of engines. They brought not only their enthusiasm but also a custom-built donation jar shaped like a motorcycle, which they placed prominently on the stand. "This is incredible," Hank said, surveying the scene. "You've got the whole town out here." "It's not just me," Emma replied. "Everyone made this happen." Doug, the biker with the eagle tattoo, approached with a warm smile. "I told you, kid, small ideas can make big ripples. This is proof." The day continued with a steady flow of customers and a growing sense of community. At one point, the mayor stopped by to commend Emma and the other participants for their efforts. "This event isn't just about lemonade," she said, addressing the crowd. "It's about teaching our kids the value of hard work, generosity, and coming together as a community. Let's make Lemonade Day a tradition." Cheers erupted, and Emma felt a swell of pride. What had started as a simple dream to fund a school trip had grown into something far beyond her imagination. As the afternoon wore on, Emma noticed Doug standing off to the side, watching the scene with a thoughtful expression. She grabbed 2 cups of lemonade and walked over. "Hey," she said, offering him a cup. "What's on your mind?" Doug took the cup and smiled. "Just thinking about how proud my daughter would have been to see this. She always believed in the power of community. Just like you." Emma hesitated, then asked, "What was her name?" Doug's eyes softened. "Her name was Amelia, but we called her Mia. She had big dreams, just like you." Emma nodded, a lump forming in her throat. "I hope I can make her proud, too." "You already have," Doug said, his voice filled with emotion. "This is the kind of thing she would have loved. And you're carrying that spirit forward." The two shared a quiet moment before Doug added, "You know, I've been talking with Hank and the crew. We'd like to sponsor a scholarship fund in Mia's name. Something to help kids like you chase their dreams." Emma's eyes widened. "That's amazing. I'd love to help." Doug nodded. "You've got a good heart, kid. Don't ever lose that." As the day wound down, the donations jar at Emma's stand was overflowing, and the helmet Doug had brought the previous month was filled to the brim once again. The money raised from Lemonade Day far exceeded anyone's expectations, and plans were already being made for next year's event. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Emma sat on the porch steps with Lily and her mom, watching the last of the stands being packed away. The street was quiet again, but the echoes of laughter and conversation lingered in the air. "You did something incredible today," Sophia said, wrapping an arm around her daughter. "This isn't just about lemonade anymore. It's about people, about hope." Emma looked at the helmet of cash and the stack of donations, her heart full. "I just wanted to go on a school trip," she said with a laugh. "I didn't think it would turn into all this." "That's the beauty of it," Lily said. "Sometimes the smallest ideas grow into the biggest things." As the stars began to twinkle above, Emma felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She thought about Doug, Mia, and the countless people who had come together to make the day a success. Lemonade Day had become more than just an event. It was a testament to the power of community, kindness, and the belief that even the smallest acts could change the world. Emma smiled, raising her glass of lemonade toward the sky. "To ripples," she said softly, "and to dreams."